Hi, loved ones. So, this is Wenick, and I am here in most beautiful Nice, France, for the WALT convention, which is a group of academics and clinicians who are super interested in photobiomodulation therapy. So here's the thing. Not only are we going to end up talking with, for a few minutes, some of the luminaries of this incredible cutting-edge healthcare modality that I think is really going to be the future of medicine. And people here are so passionate. There's everybody from medical physicists to boots on the ground every day in wellness centers working with people. So the whole gamut of professionals here that all they want to do is to serve you. Yeah, get that. They all want to make photobiomodulation available to everyday people in an easy and accessible way. And all of that passion and all of the brain power here is inspiring. But we also want to take away the message that no matter what part you play, that you just keep going. Photobiomodulation Worldwide Conference, Nice, France, 2018. Go meet super interesting people. All right, I love you. This is going to be so much fun. Bye-bye. It's an embarrassment of riches here in Nice, let me tell you, because we're so fortunate to be able to spend some time with this lovely gentleman. So please, tell us your name and where are you from?
I'm Dr. Arun Maiya. I'm from Manipal Academy of Higher Education. It's a deemed university, Manipal, India.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I did my PhD in the area of diabetic foot, and from the last 20 years, I've been practicing the photobiomodulation in various conditions like diabetic foot ulcer, then management of neuropathic pain in diabetes patient, chronic musculoskeletal pain, and also we focused in the area of the complications related to the cancer management. That is the chemoradiotherapy. That is the one of the common complications patients develops is the oral mucositis. So with the photobiomodulation, we treat all these conditions to relieve the pain, to reduce the inflammation, as well as to promote the healing.
So you're a medical doctor who used to use drugs and surgery and kind of typical notions of just medical allopathy, and now you've integrated PBM therapy into your work. How did you get exposed to PBM therapy as an option?
My background is I am a rehabilitation specialist.
Okay.
And is exclusively working in the area of the diabetic foot.
Right.
And I integrated this photobiomodulation therapy in the routine practice of our the diabetic foot or the chronic pain management. And specifically we are finding an amazing result in terms of reduction of the pain as well as promoting the healing of the diabetic foot ulcers.
What brought you to lovely and most beautiful Nice?
Nice, actually I have been a very long association with the Nice.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yes, I completed my fellowship in 2003 with Dr. Ben Sedone in University of Nice Antipolis, especially in the area of the photobiomodulation and
that's a
oral
wonderful
mucus.
answer. So when you saw, the conference is going to be in Nice,
Nice.
you have a connection with that, and then here you are.
Even in addition to that, I have been associated with the World Association for Laser Therapy from the last 10 years. I have attended the earlier conferences in other part of the globe also.
In your area of India, are there a lot of other doctors who practice PBM therapy?
Yeah, PBM is actually in India is practiced by many specialties like the allopathic doctors, myself like a physiotherapist, then we are also Ayurvedic physicians and also nature cure, that is a naturopathy doctors. All of them are using the photobiomodulations for the management of various clinical conditions.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when you work with a patient, can you give us an idea of the different areas that you focus on, the different treatment types? Because we know that you're working in photobiomodulation, but you're doing something called integrative medicine. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We also suggest them, because when you say the management or the medical management is usually a holistic or the comprehensive approach. Sometimes the patient needs the comprehensive approach, so that, and even in the India, the Ayurveda or the yoga or the traditional practice or the it's called the complementary medicine of the Indian system of medicine. So most of the time patients also integrated with these type of line of management.
Nice.
Examples like when the patient comes with type 2 diabetes with the neuropathic pain, normally sometimes they are treated with either the allopathic or they also undergo a Ayurvedic management for the glycemic control.
So you're taking an approach that involves nutrition, that involves exercise, if we think of yoga as an exercise, that involves many, many levels, and then also helping the body heal through treating it with PBM therapy.
Usually we approach, it's called the lifestyle management. When you say the lifestyle management, a proper exercise prescription, lifestyle modifications like physical activity promotion, and a diet or the proper nutrition. These are very, very essential for the lifestyle management of an individual. In addition, we also focus on the photobiomodulations for the various specific conditions.
That's beautiful. As a last question, do you have any particular stories, maybe of a patient who had a result that you could share with us today that stays in your heart?
Yeah. I have been treating the patients with many conditions, especially with the PBM from the last 20 years.
Right.
And recently one important interesting case I would like to share. A patient with the type 2 diabetes mellitus, with nephropathy, with the chronic renal failure. He was also suffering from the neuropathy, and most importantly the patient was bedridden for the last 1 year. Bedridden. He was not able to walk because of his ulcer. And daily he used to go for a hemodialysis. And looking at his ulcer,
every day?
Every day. Yes.
Every day dialysis.
Yes. And
That's
looking
sick.
at
That's really sick.
And we treated him with the photobiomodulation for 2 months to basically to cure both the ulcers which was developed in both the foot.
Right.
And he was completely healed with the ulcer. And once the ulcer starts healing, we also integrated with the various exercise protocol, rehabilitation protocol, offloading, and then the assistive devices to ambulate the patients. So by 2 months, the patient's ulcer was completely cured with the PBM. Along with that, the patient was able to ambulate independently. Walk
So
independently.
someone who had actually was so sick that they could not get out of bed on their own, in only 8 weeks of your integrative medicine approach of PBM therapy and then also nutrition and exercise. And in 8 weeks, this person was walking around.
Yes, that's true.
Tell me that is not so amazingly inspiring.
Thank you.
Dr. Maiya, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and I appreciate the work that you're doing in the world.
Thanks a lot. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hi, loved ones. I'm here with another incredibly fascinating person here at Nice at the WALT conference. So please tell us who you are and what you do for work.
I'm working about some subjects.
What's your name?
My name is Nivaldo Parizotto. I'm from Brazil. I'm a full professor at the Federal University of São Carlos and the University of Araraquara. And I have a group of research, many students, many people formed by my lab. And I work hard in different fields of PBM therapy, like bone regeneration, for example, using or not some biomaterials. I study applications of PBM to increase the performance in muscle, for rehabilitation, or maybe in sports medicine, right? Football, including. Yes, I have studies in football. Soccer in the United States.
I still call it football. I'm a woman of the world.
Okay. and I study as well the pain mechanisms and inflammation. It's very important to me to understand underlying mechanism, including the response for pain or so on, including inflammation. And I have studies like translational studies,
Right.
including in vitro, in animal models, and clinical trials.
People.
Yes,
Working
people.
with people.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very important to understand the underlying mechanism to put in the human beings, because we need to justify to ethical committee what I need to do in the people, right?
And you also research in the area of treating people with obesity to help regain a more regulated body and metabolism.
Yes,
Is that correct?
it's a new field, I think. It's, my group, I think, is one of the first people, the first groups studying this subject using PBM. I know groups using PBM to reduce fat, but it's locally,
Yes.
right?
Like site specific.
Yes,
Right
yes.
here, reduce fat.
And I study to understand more and apply to reduce fat in our
The whole system.
all body,
yeah.
and including to perform more health for the people. It's my main objective. It's very important to help these people to live in better.
Using light
Yes,
to
using
help
light.
people's life be healthier and better.
Actually, it's not a miracle.
Oh, yes.
It's only additive treatment
Yeah.
to including
Exercise.
diet,
Nutrition. Yeah.
good nutrition, exercise, and you need to add PBM,
Yes.
and we can perform better results after that. It's very interesting results we could see in our clinical trials, randomized clinical trials, double-blind. All the studies are double-blind studies.
Yes.
We can see good results. It's very interesting.
That's fantastic. Now, what made you come to this conference?
I was invited as a keynote speaker. It's an honor to me.
Yes. It was a wonderful talk. It was a wonderful
thank you
talk.
so much.
Now, is there any last things that you might want to say to people who are watching this to learn about how they might integrate PBM therapy modalities into their everyday lives?
Yes, and the interesting thing that we can talk about is we can control hypertension.
Oh.
It's collateral signal of diabetes, for example, or metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a junction of a lot of symptoms and signals.
Yes.
And we can put together everything, like hypertension, diabetes, obesity, a lot of fat, and inflammation. It's a subclinical inflammation, and maybe some kinds of cancer are derived from fat. tissue.
Right, that's true. Adipose tissue
Yes,
is
yes.
a grounding place
Yes.
for these things to
Exactly.
grow. And so you see this future of people being able to use photobiomodulation
Yes.
for themselves in a variety of applications in their lives to be healthy
Exactly.
and vibrant. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Yes, I do.
So nice.
Same.
Bye-bye. Again, another amazing person for us to learn from. Hello.
Hi,
So what is your name and where are you from?
I'm Terrance Baker. Most people call me Terry. I'm a physician from the Washington, D.C. area, near Baltimore, between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. I have been practicing as a board-certified family physician, geriatric physician, and emergency physician for about 40 years. I trained at Johns Hopkins and then Medical College of Virginia and then George Washington University. So I've been practicing about 40 years, and one of the things that I like to do in our practice is we use photobiomodulation, that is laser therapy, to treat many medical conditions that previously never had a good solution, never had a good medical answer.
That's beautiful. And so you have a practice then as a physician working directly with patients, yourself doing that on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, that's correct. I have an office.
Grinding it out with real human beings.
Exactly. We treat patients in the office setting. We're open 5 days a week just near BWI Airport. I have 2 nurse practitioners that work with me. I also practice in the hospital, Good Samaritan Hospital, which is a MedStar hospital and a Johns Hopkins affiliate in Baltimore, Maryland. We also do rehab medicine where we admit patients to the nursing home or to rehabilitation to help them get well after they've been hospitalized.
So tell me a little bit about what has brought you here to Nice to interact with all of these lovely people at the conference.
Well, this week has been an incredible opportunity to get together with other doctors and other clinicians, that is specialists from around the world, for the purposes of having the annual WALT Association of Photobiomodulation Therapy. And essentially it's a congress of physicians and practitioners that come from all over the world to share information about applying laser light, LED light, broadband spectrum light to patients for the purposes of accelerating their healing.
So I had the pleasure of sitting in at the very tail end of a course that was on guiding clinicians to be able to use photobiomodulation devices in a way that's accurate. Would you say that that's a focus for you in your life in trying to work out and create a systematic approach to helping clinicians be the best photobiomodulation people that they can be?
Yes. Yes, as a physician that's been practicing for about 40 years, my goal is to use technology and to use treatments that have been proven to assist my patients to get well. Essentially, I'm a healer who uses medical technology to help patients achieve their goals, that is to get well. And it turns out, in my opinion, that photobiomodulation, that is the application of light using approved protocols in a consistent manner, allows patients to experience accelerated healing, that is to get better faster.
When you were teaching that class, was there anything that crossed your mind that you might share with the average lay person about what it's like out in the world as someone who has your drive and has your concerns and is so passionate about photobiomodulation?
Yes.
From the doctor point of view.
One of the things we wanted to do during the master's level class is we started off by doing a meta-analysis. A meta-analysis looks at over 2,500 studies performed from around the world over the last 30 years that have studied the effects of light in making patients well. And what we found out from that study is that overwhelmingly the studies demonstrate that if you apply photobiomodulation, that is, you apply laser light and LEDs to a patient who's sick, it will accelerate their healing. So the first thing we did in the master's class is to put away all doubts that there's not a scientific basis to what we're doing here.
Right.
So we established the science. Next, what we did is we taught clinicians, practitioners, physicians who are in the room how to apply the light in a way that makes sense, that will work, that will be effective.
Right.
Because it's not just enough to have a laser, you really need to know how to apply it.
It's a technique, it's a skill.
Is right. It's no different than the prescription your doctor gives you for an antibiotic. Let's say you have a sore throat. He gives you penicillin, or she gives you penicillin. You take the penicillin, 250 milligrams, 4 times a day for 7 days. That's a prescription. Well, light is just like that pharmaceutical. It's just like penicillin. You have to have a prescription. And so your doctor needs to know how to write the prescription, and then needs to know how to fill the prescription. And so what we were teaching in the master's level course is, number 1 is do an adequate history of the patient. Number 2 is a physical examination of the patient. Number 3 is write the prescription. Number 4 is fill the prescription.
Excellent, that's beautiful. So the thing that is crossing my mind right now is, do you have any stories from your practice, like maybe one particular patient who crosses your mind as something that might inspire people to think about photobiomodulation as something that they might consider in their own situation if they need healing? Is there a particular anecdote that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Well, there's 2 patients that come to mind that demonstrate how effective this treatment can be for patients who have no hope. They have no other hope in the world. The first patient is a lawyer from Catherine, who is from Washington, D.C. She's a lawyer, practicing lawyer. She flew on holiday to Australia. As she was arriving in Sydney, she dropped to the ground and she was dead. The Aussies resuscitated her and brought her back to life, but when Catherine woke up, she was blind. She had lost her vision. She flew home to the United States of America, Washington, D.C., blind. She heard about us on the internet, our office in the internet, and she came to me 2 years ago, and her entire goal was to regain her sight. And she had no other options.
Right.
She had no other options. She'd been to see every possible neuro-ophthalmologist, that is, ophthalmologist who specializes in blindness.
So the allopathic model had kind of let her down by saying, oh, too bad, get this, we don't have an answer, so you're just going to be blind.
Right. When you looked at an MRI of her brain, that is the back part of her brain called the occiput, which is responsible, the occipital lobe is responsible for translating what your eyes see. So she didn't have an eye problem, she had a computer problem.
Right.
Her computer had been damaged by the stroke, by her death, and she could not process what her eyes were seeing. So her eyes were working, but her computer was damaged. So what we did is we used photobiomodulation therapy over an 18-month period to restore her sight. She's back to work, full-time, back to work as a practicing attorney, and seeing very well. The second patient is a patient who came to me. Mr. Felder came to me, and he was in tears. He was an older man in his 70s, cigarette smoker, and he had gangrene, that is, death of his left ankle and his left foot. It was all shriveled up and looked dead. The surgeons were prepared to cut it off the next morning. And so Mr. Fowler came to me and he said, Dr. Baker, I understand that you have some hope here using lasers. And so we examined him, did a history, did a physical, and talked to him about what it would take. It would take between 8 months and a year that we could restore his ankle and his foot. And so we started seeing Mr. Fowler 3 days a week for 40-minute treatment sessions using red light and near-infrared laser light. And sure enough, what happened is, layer by layer, the dead skin began to peel off, sort of like a snake loses its skin every year or so. And so Mr. Fowler began shedding layer after layer after layer of dead skin, and underneath the dead skin was new cells. The new cells came from cells that were still alive, that were reproducing and multiplying using the light as a source of energy. And then secondly is stem cells from his fat stores and his bones, that is, cells that are omnipotent. There's cells in our body that can become anything. anything you want them to be.
Well,
And
here
so-
in the Blissverse, we're all about stem cells.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we stimulated stem cells to move to the ankle and the foot to help out with reconstruction. And over a 9-month period, we regrew an ankle, we regrew a foot, even with the toenails, and he even had hair on the top of the foot. So what we did is we allowed the ankle and the foot to be restored to normal, not doing anything miraculous, not doing anything supernatural, but by applying the light, we supplied an external source of energy that allowed the cells that were still alive to reproduce, brought in the stem cells to help them reproduce what an ankle and a foot looks like, and again, time, about a 9-month period of applying the light 3 days a week.
Is that not so inspiring and beautiful? Well, Dr. Baker, thank you so much for talking with us today, and I just appreciate your work out in the world.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hello, loved ones. I am here with an absolutely amazing scientist who wants to share with us things in her life. So please, will you tell us your full name and where you are from and what you do for work?
Okay. So, my name is Lia Mara Grosso Neves.
Oh, it's so beautiful, isn't it?
Thank you. I am from Brazil and yes. Do you ask me about my
And what do you do
Sorry.
for work? Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Did you
What do you do for work?
work? Yeah.
So what is your job?
Okay. My job now in this moment, I am a doctoral student.
Oh, cool.
And I am finalizing my thesis, and in few months I will finish definitely. Yeah.
Wow, that's really exciting and fancy. So what brought you here to Nice to the WALT conference?
Yes. For me, it's amazing because I want to increase my knowledge, and probably I will use or I will work with this area because this, for me, it's amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice is so beautiful. We're having so much fun. So, Lia, can you tell us a little bit about this is a poster. A poster is something that scientists use at events like this where somebody who is in the process of working on scientific data, but it's not ready to be published yet, can still be shared with other academics, and then they make themselves available at the poster in case there's anyone who wants to question them, even though they don't actually have official results, but it's enough that, let's say, two academics who are in different, doing different studies but in similar areas might be able to work off each other and things like that. So, Lia, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're in process of doing?
Yeah. So my work is entitled Reparative Action of the Red Laser on Photo-Aged Skin of Hairless Mice. So
beautiful.
my model, experimental model, was hairless mice. So this model is amazing for different treatments after the mechanisms, induced mechanisms, the photoaged, through using the lamp.
Right.
Yeah. And I induced this process.
So the lamp mimics sunlight.
Yeah.
And the damage that full spectrum sunlight over
induce it.
long periods of times create on people's skin.
Exactly.
Right. So in a sense, you're giving them extended lifetime sun damage, but just using this lamp.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's the same emission from sun. So it's a mimetic form that induces the photoaging, because the lamp emits the ultraviolet radiation.
Yeah.
Because the photoagent is I don't know how to say, is induced
Right.
in the dorsal region from the hairless mice. Okay, so after this process, I used these parameters for photo aging process, and after this I treated this region of the mice using aid model, mode. Sorry, mode for the application, the red laser in 6 different points, and after this we collected this skin from hairless mice, and I was analyzing the different proteins and structural. For example, I used this histologic process for analyze different for this structural analysis. For example, we can see the difference between the health control with the photo-aged control.
Right.
For example, in the epidermal. This epidermal is this region.
Right.
Fuchsia region. I don't know how to say in English. This color.
Purple?
Purple, yeah.
Yeah.
This region.
Yeah.
So the thickness epidermal in here it's increase. So in here, decrease, and in here increase.
Right.
Okay. So the thickness is different.
Right. The thickness is different.
When we treated the animals with red laser, the thickness epidermal recover your structure normally.
It's normal structure.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it healed the skin from the sun damage.
Sorry?
It healed the skin from the sun damage.
Yeah.
To use photobiomodulation light.
Exactly.
Now, is this something that can be applied to human beings? I mean, based on the positive conclusions, I realize that your study's not finished, but utilizing, let's just assume that these positive conclusions are supported, then is this something that human beings could use? Because we know that sunlight has properties that all of us need, and that it's a very, very healthy and integral part of having a vibrant life is having exposure to full spectrum sunlight. So that's an important part of health. But then we also know that there's aspects of it which are damaging to skin. And so is this something that could people apply this scientific understanding to help create technology which would enable people to mitigate the negative aspects of damage that happens from sun exposure?
This is necessary to construct new approaches, for example, for using the different parameters and standard use for the laser. And the photo aging skin, for example, is health is a problem. Health public. Public health. Because this it's so interesting investigated this area because we can maybe in the future apply it. This method in clinical experimental, for example, trial experimental.
Well, it all comes down to how it works in human beings, and we know that's what we're shooting for. Meaning, how can photobiomodulation be applied to human health and human experience?
In my case,
and so this will get applied. It will go from animals. It will go from animals to human beings, right? And that will be so nice.
The experimental model, for example, it's necessary. We start in the animal experimental. After this, we will
go to human.
Clinical. for in the future
Right.
use it when security use.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's so exciting about the potential information that Lia is bringing into the world for all of us to enjoy is that for people like me who love to be out in the sun, who love the connection from the heavens with that particular input, having my feet grounded on the earth, that if there ends up being negative consequences from, in a sense, having too much sun, that there's going to be photobiomodulation technology based on Lia's research to help mitigate that damage. So thank you so much for your work in the world.
So much.
Amazing. So beautiful.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me.
Lia, so
Thank you.
gorgeous. Bye, loved ones.
Bye.
Hello. So we're here with another fascinating person here in Nice. So please tell us, what is your name and where do you live?
Well, I live in Uruguay. My name is Ruben Wenick. I am a medical doctor,
Medical doctor.
and I work with laser since 30 years ago.
Oh my goodness. So you've been practicing with your patients PBM therapy for 30
Yes,
years?
Yes, yes.
That's amazing because people talk about it as cutting edge technology and the newest thing. But I mean, for some people watching this video, that might be their whole lifetime. So
Yes.
you're very experienced.
It's fantastic. Especially the results of the treatment.
So what brought you here to Nice to be here at the WALT convention? Why do you want to be part of this community?
Well, this is the first time that I came to WALT.
Oh,
Because I have many. My time is gold because I have requests for patients in many cities. I have an office in Lagomaris, the coast city near Montevideo in Uruguay. It's a very beautiful beach. I have also a little office in Etala. It's 74 kilometers from Montevideo. I have an office in Mercedes City.
wow.
Mercedes City is 278 kilometers from Montevideo. And also I have an officer medical officer in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
In Palermo is
It just
a
keeps
VIP.
going and going.
Yes, I work in
A lot of travel. Many,
yes,
many places.
yes, near 1,000 kilometers per week.
What made you come this year? What was important to you about this year?
I presented to the committee research
So you
that
gave a
I
talk.
do because someday I need to explain my patients that the laser infrared or near infrared, but I use infrared, large infrared also, that patients cannot see, but that these lasers are really effective. And so I choose the iridology.
Right. So just to ask,
Yes.
because I did have the pleasure of seeing your talk, and what you were teaching us about was a concept that I'd never heard of. And so therefore, can you just tell us a little bit about, and I'm going to mispronounce it again, iridology?
Iridology.
Yes, iridology. Can you just tell us, what is that?
Well, iridology is a long-time technique that many physicians developed especially for diagnosis.
Diagnosis.
It's a technique especially for diagnosis. The iris and pupilla and other parts of the eye came from the three classics. The three classes former of our corp, that is of our body, that are the ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So they take in the development of the fetus all the structures, and these structures were represented at each eye. Both eyes are different, but in studying each eye, you can see what happened, what will happen also,
Right.
especially what will happen also.
So meaning, can I just
you
ask
can
a
make the
question?
diagnosis.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so you can make the diagnosis. So a patient comes in and they say, I don't feel good, or they have certain symptoms, and then what you can do using this knowledge is you actually make an analysis of how their eye looks, and you can be able to tell that maybe what is causing the problem is something with their heart, or what is causing the problem is something with their blood, and then you'll use photobiomodulation therapy
Yes.
to treat whatever the problem is, but you figure it out by analyzing the way that their eye looks.
Yes, and
That's
then I
amazing.
check after.
Yeah,
I took a pic or also a
right.
video.
We saw that.
I-
How much the eye changed after you did the
change,
PBM therapy
the change.
treatment.
There's something fantastic. I make many treatments since more than 25 years. Many treatment of tobacco cessation,
Ah, yes.
and I have perhaps more than 5,000 of patients treated with tobacco cessation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it's incredible that we do an peak of the iris. And, we have a Davis named iridoscopy. We make with the iridoscopy, we make a peak, and then we have the evidence of the problem. After then, we applied photobiomodulation, and then I take a new pick.
And the eye looks completely different.
Completely different,
Yes, that's amazing.
and the patient doesn't smoke more. But each disease can be diagnosticated by ideology and can be treated by photobiomodulation. I think in 30 years of practice that there is no disease that can resist photobiomodulation.
Excellent. And based on what everyone has been talking about, at this conference and what I've learned, I absolutely agree that we have to have that consensus. There's no other
Yes,
conclusion that you can draw.
And this is fantastic because I am in Uruguay very alone
Yes.
of the continent, south of America. Uruguay is the southern capital of America and of the world also, and we have there all the seasons, but we are alone. We speak only Spanish.
Right.
You know that only 30% of the medical doctors know English. Only 30.
In Uruguay
In Uruguay,
specifically? Okay.
specifically, we made that census in
Yeah.
1997, 1998,
It makes it
when
harder.
I was at the Ministry of Health working, and that's a problem because medicine change, paradigms change,
Right.
and we have usually the paradigm based on the experience of the professor. The professor is the number one. Then,
Yes, right. Academia.
after 2002, I did in the Pan American Health Organization a course of evidence-based medicine. So I enjoyed photobiomodulation because all the professors have a wide experience. Wide experience in evidence-based medicine of photobiomodulation, and there are no doubts. So, if I have no doubt of the effects looking at the iris. There
Right
are
at the
no.
eye. There you go. You know what's going on in there.
There are
That's
no
beautiful.
evidence. There are evidence that photobiomodulation can do magic things
Yeah.
in most patients that are worst by traditional medicine.
That's beautiful. Is there any last thing that you want to say about photobiomodulation or any story that you might have about a particular patient that comes to mind before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I have a patient in Uruguay with a great problem in the knee, two surgeries, an infection, a great infection in Uruguay. Nobody can do anything for her. She went to USA. And then came to France here, and she has something. She has I wanted to say amiga in English.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, but she had contacts in Monaco. They said, "Come here. We will see your knee with the best specialist in France." And the specialist was here from Nice. He do many studies and fantastic studies and diagnosis, but he can solve the problem. That patient goes to my office in Mercedes, and I do laser photobiomodulation, change, another. I also have developed some Davis. Can I show you? Can I show you?
Sure,
Later?
sure.
I use this is a multi-diode that I use for sports.
So that's your device.
Huh?
And so you treated
I use
this
this.
patient's
This
knee.
yes, this is the newest. It's a quantum generator.
Well, that's just a tiny little gizmo. I
Yeah.
think even I could use that. That looks pretty simple.
Yes, and then after I scan with this Davis, I put another Davis and work slowly.
Right.
But after 6 months, patient can walk without any problem.
So this person had gone all around the world, essentially to the U.S., to France, working with the greatest minds in allopathic, way of approaching things using pharmaceuticals and surgery, and they were still having terrible pain and problems. And then you started working with them with PBM therapy, and 6 months later, they're walking around doing well. That's wonderful.
Yes. Last week I went to Costa Rica.
Yes. Oh, Costa Rica.
Oh, it's
nice.
paradise, huh? It's very nice. Each
Yes.
year I go to
I'm
Costa
going to
Rica.
live there, actually. That's my plan.
Each year I go to Costa Rica. I am advisor of a cancer foundation, and I treat some patients. Last time I have a journalist that
Right.
have a problem in the knee,
Right.
and I don't have time to go to see her or receive her in the foundation.
Right.
So she came to the university where I given the conference,
Right.
and wait a minute, put the here, and in about 10 minutes, she goes on without any support.
That's so
10
beautiful.
minutes.
Well,
So that's
well,
photobiomodulation.
that is photobiomodulation
Fantastic,
in a nutshell.
fantastic.
Well, thank you, doctor,
Okay.
so much for your
Thank-
hard work
thank you very much.
and being a pioneer
Oh.
out there in PBM therapy.
Yeah, I think about I am here. I have 2 or 3 idols. Michael Weber,
Yes.
Michael Hamlin,
Yes, he's
from
amazing.
the Harvard University, and many others that really I have so much to learn with them that
Well, how
I'm
gorgeous.
very, very grateful to be
Doctor,
here.
that's so humble. And I have to say that here in the Blissverse, what do we believe? That everybody has so much to learn all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So another amazing person that we get to learn from here is this wonderful guy. Please tell us, what is your name and where are you from?
My name is Janno. I'm from Estonia, Tallinn, and I'm just here to meet some of the brightest minds in the field of photobiomodulation.
So you're a big fan.
I'm a huge fan, actually. Well, I started as a skeptic. My story is that I have a pretty dark passenger called multiple sclerosis. I've had it for about 12 years. I was diagnosed and that was really, really bad in the beginning. I was on different medications. I had to switch medications in every, 2 months pretty much, because nothing really helped. I was just going downhill. If anybody wants to Google MS, you can see like the symptoms that people have. I had, I think, 95% of those symptoms. So I had everything, the whole list. It's a pretty serious condition. Attacks from many different angles, mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's like this, as I said, like dark passenger that's following you around.
Right.
You never know when you're gonna get better or worse, and so on. I was pretty close to a wheelchair. I was walking with a cane and wasn't very good. So at some point I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I just started to change my lifestyle. I didn't really focus on the medications anymore so much, and I was just improving my sleep, my diet. I was exercising, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I was probably over exercising,
Right.
and so I was just getting smarter and smarter about it, following my heart rate variability, and just deciding when it's a good time to exercise, and sometimes it's not a good idea to exercise at all. You should rest. So then I met some guys in person and online who were talking about light therapy and photobiomodulation, and I got interested in that. Now I'm here, and I've met in person many different doctors and scientists, and they are actually doing awesome work and seeing very great results from different light therapies.
So just to make sure that I understand this correctly, you were basically started this journey as a patient, as someone who started using the regular typical treatment model used in the allopathic way. You didn't get good results. So then you started looking for other areas more on the cutting edge, and you were introduced to PBM therapy, and then you got treatments in PBM therapy, and look at you today walking around as a strapping, apparently incredibly healthy, vibrant person. I mean, is that pretty much what we'd say is your story in a quick narrative?
Yeah, I would have to correct you a little bit.
Yes, please do.
So I am not 100% healed. I still have some symptoms. And I'm still sort of I'm using the least invasive MS drug there is, but while I was using the drug and not really doing anything else, I didn't see very good results. I'm still using the drug just because of the Estonian health insurance system. Pretty much, if you don't use something, then you can't really go to a doctor, and you're like.
If you don't follow the traditional protocols, then they'll stop treating you?
Well, they would still treat you, but you would get like, it would be a little bit difficult, let's put it this way. But yeah, after I started using those photobiomodulation devices, I couldn't say that like those were the one key that changed everything. But so far, and I'm still quite new to this. So far, what I feel is that my cognitive functions are improving, and also, let's be clear. My certain performances in bed are also improving.
Are incredibly important, because remember, what is one of the 5 pillars of health? Food, sleep, sex, right? We all need it. It has to be good.
Well, and if it's not really, if you have low libido and it's not really going very well,
Right.
then it's a sign that there's some inflammation going on, and it's called the cortisol steal syndrome or pregnenolone steal syndrome. So everything, all the hormones are going to the inflammation side,
Right.
not the reproduction side.
So one of the things I'm learning from you is that you are what might be called here at the conference a lay person, and so that leads me to ask, what do you do for work?
I'm in business. I used to. I had a travel agency, so I was traveling back and forth from Estonia to Hawaii. Myself, I was accompanying the clients that I had.
Right.
And I also have an insurance business. I'm selling insurance online.
Okay.
So
but I think maybe then you have a major hobby.
Yeah.
Tell us
and
maybe
so
just a tiny bit about the major hobby.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking that's also a little bit of the reason why you're here in Nice with us right here today.
Yes, and recently, I think the last 3 or 4 years, I've been busy with different TV series productions. So I've been very interested in movie production when I was a kid. I have no education, like formal education of film or video or anything. So I have learned everything on my own. It's in my family. We have some people who have done it before, so I was kind of inspired by those people. And I've produced 3 different primetime TV series before, and now, these were kind of like traveling shows, and they were really well accepted, primetime, good ratings and everything. But they were kind of just for fun, or like a business.
Right.
But now I'm making this documentary, which is called The New Me, and this is something that I see as my life's mission, because I'm seeing many people who are patients just like me. Every time I go to the doctor's office, I see people limping and having just very bad symptoms, trying to have hope and waiting for the cure, the magic cure.
Right.
But they are not really. It's maybe hard, to say that, but they're not really doing much about it. They go to the doctor.
Well, the typical medical model does actually ask the patient in general to be passive, to allow the doctor to make the decisions and to do the doing.
And sometimes it's actually correct, because they say that the worst patient a doctor can have is the doctor himself, because you are very subjective. Sometimes you can't make decisions. And for me, it's true. I've been, you start to think, you start to generalize, you start to reason everything that you're doing, like, oh, it's a little bit of this, gluten is not bad for me if you have MS, and those things. And sometimes it's true.
So is it accurate to say then that you've taken the difficulties in your life, the challenges that you've met, and that you have found different separate ways to address them, that has given you back vibrancy in your life, and now you're out here essentially as a hobby, using your skills in TV and high-level production to share that story, so that possibly people who are on that same journey and having those same challenges might be inspired to try different things. I mean, that sounds like a really wonderful thing.
And I feel like this is bigger than me. I mean, I'm not the person who's anyway like a star. I don't even feel comfortable on a camera. But I just decided to put myself, in front of people, just that they would see how I'm doing, and I wanna give people hope, and I wanna. There's this good saying. Whenever you're in trouble, there's 2 ways of asking the same question.
Yeah.
You can ask, what can I do about it?
Right.
And put like a exclamation point in the end. Mm-hmm. Or you can ask, what can I do about it? And put a question mark in the end.
Yeah.
So my goal is to do whatever I can, whatever is in my, abilities, to get as good as I can, and just maybe, people would see that material and they would be inspired as well. So sometimes you just need to take things into your own hands. There's just nothing else that you can do.
And you've found that PBM therapy gives you that hope.
That's part of the
And that's what you're
equation.
doing, is inspiring other people to
part of the
take in their
equation.
own hand maybe this modality that might give them hope too.
Yeah, because it won't come from the system.
Right.
It's again a very harsh thing to say, but the system won't give you a cheap tool that you can use because it's about money. If you go and you do like a laser therapy, or I don't know, I've been doing a lot of research in stem cell therapy as well, or you can combine those things, then you might be gone from the doctor's office, and you will be gone from the pharmaceutical company's office or food chain. So there's no use. And I've seen it actually happening in real life. There's a drug called LDN, it's low dose naltrexone, which patent has expired. So it's it's not like some magical miracle pill or anything, but it's been very helpful for some patients with autoimmune disease. What it does, it raises endorphins in the brain, and so it stimulates the immune system, and somehow people just get better when using LDN. And it's a very good example that I like to bring. There are thousands of people with with autoimmune disease who are using it and getting good results. But no drug company is willing to put the money in just to do the trials because the patent has expired. So if this would be accepted as a drug for, let's say, MS, they would lose so much money, millions and billions of dollars, that it's just not good business-wise.
Well, Janno, I want to thank you so much for your time, and also just the fact that you're dedicating part of, because time is our most precious asset.
True.
To doing this in service to other people and getting the word out about something that's made such a huge effect in your life. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. Another amazing person. So please tell us, what is your name and where are you from?
Well, my name is Michael Weber. I'm from Germany. Some 3 decades ago, I started out Western medicine education, but almost from the first day of my studies, I realized that Western medicine is terrific in the acute medicine, but is somehow blinded on the second eye, talking about chronic diseases. And I started out to focus on cellular physiology, mitochondrial medicine, and combination with the treasures of a couple of thousands of years of Chinese medicine.
10 to maybe even 20,000 of years of Chinese medicine. So tell us, what do you do for work in the way that are you still working with patients? Are you more of a scientist? Do you sell medical devices? What's your job? What do you do for work?
Well, actually, it's a combination of many things. Let's say for 10 years, I did the traditional metal needle acupuncture and visited China, learned about Chinese herbal medicine, Chinese approach to dietary medicine, and a couple of years later, I got the chance to do some research, basic research studies about micronutrition, trace elements, especially coenzyme Q10 in extremely premature babies. And ever since, I'm intoxicated with mitochondrial medicine. And 2 decades ago, I came in contact with the laser, and ever since, more and more, I replace the traditional metal needle by photobiomodulation, by the use of the light needle.
So would it be accurate to say then that in your practice, working with patients, you have integrated the ancient principles of Chinese medicine with photobiomodulation technology? And is that how you would?
Yeah, I like to prescribe or describe myself as uniting Eastern and Western medicine. Basically, when a patient approaches my clinic, I avoid to look in the Western medical records, in the blood works and X-rays. I just want to hear from the patient, what is your complaint? And I think the big treasure of Chinese medicine is you really can pick up the patient where he stands right now. It's an extremely individualized medicine. Of course, if it's, let's say, a problem in fertility, reproductive medicine, you have to combine it with Western approaches. I develop my concept, what's the problem? And well, what's the problem in Western societies? We eat too much sweet, we eat too much animal-based protein, too much dietary comic products. So maybe 80% of the patients come with what Chinese says, weakness of the middle sanjiao, of stomach and spleen. They can't properly digest. And then I think what would be suitable acupuncture points and would treat them with a laser. And at the same time, during the treatment, would discuss with the patient how to change the daily diet.
So nutrition along with treatment, and it's really a holistic approach to someone becoming healthy. So they have to participate in their own wellness when they work with you.
Yeah, this is one of my main ideas, really to integrate the patient into the therapeutic concept. Therefore, beside using the laser, I loved this transdermal needles.
Right.
So I tell the patients 3 times a day, and once you get GI reflux, press this point where the needle sticks in, and they literally feel that they get the relaxation. But they are reminded of all the things, and they become part of the therapeutic concept. And yeah, beside my love to the laser, I think there is even more treasure in Chinese herbal medicine.
Oh, completely. But that's a conversation we might have another day.
Okay.
So do you have any, as a final question, do you have any story to share with us of a patient result where you used photobiomodulation technology and it's something that just comes up to your mind that you'd like to share with us today?
How many hours you have to
You have to pick like the best.
Well, it's really difficult to pick up the best because there are so many best stories. But what directly comes into my mind, 2 years ago, I had a visitor, a Western-trained medical doctor, very much critical towards Chinese medicine, but still she said, well, I want to see how you are working. And there was first admission with a guy, a dental surgeon, who was operated. It's a bit longer story, but it's interesting.
It'll be worth it. Okay.
Running his own clinic, developed bilateral inguinal hernia, and he said, well, I don't want to close my clinic. Between Christmas and New Year, I have the operation done. Operation went well, but he didn't awake. So he was carried to the intensive care unit, was ventilated for 10 days, wake up, and said, "Oh, where am I?
The anesthesiology didn't work well.
Oh well, maybe. But the main problem was
like a coma?
he was left-handed, left-sided,
Right.
and he couldn't move the left arm, and by no means.
Oh.
And day by day it got worse. Even slightly touching caused tears, terrific pain. So he went to his best friend, neurosurgeon at the university nearby, and he said, "Listen, it's Sudeck syndrome, complex regional pain syndrome. You can handle infopension. You will never be able to go back in the clinic. We will have a maybe 10 to 12 hours operation. We will operate and the ganglia, and probably you are able to move your fingers again." So I couldn't examine him. I literally was not able to touch him. He couldn't undress himself, so his wife has to do this. So we started out with treating auricular acupuncture points with a laser.
Right.
And afterwards it was like a textbook of Chinese medicine. From the beginning to the end, the large intestine meridian was affected. We did acupuncture points on the large intestine meridian, general pain relieving points, and then what only possible with the laser, we did my beloved meridian massage. After 40 minutes, 50 minutes of treatment. He screamed again, but not of pain. He said to his wife, "Listen, that's incredible. I can start to move my arm again." So I handled
One
him.
treatment.
One treatment. I handled him over my simple laser shower and told him, "Listen, every other day, it was Friday afternoon, you treat with the laser." And still I told him, maybe 20 appointments, maybe longer, and I don't know where we get. After 6 treatments, he gave me a phone call. "I don't come for treatment tonight, but I come with a box of sparkling wine. Tomorrow I will open my clinic again. I'm 100% back to normal." Yeah.
So Western medicine had said there is no hope. You have to live in what is basically this terrible circumstances of everything, and you work with him for that short amount of time using photobiomodulation therapy with the principles of Chinese medicine, and he's ready to go back to work.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank
And
you.
these are the reasons why I'm traveling all over the world,
Yeah.
from China to Iran, from Israel to Canada, to share these ideas.
I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing in the world.
It's
I
my
just
pleasure.
want to say thank you, and it's incredibly inspiring. Bye-bye. Hi, loved ones. I have the pleasure yet once again to be sitting here with a fascinating and wonderful person. So please tell us your name and where you come from and what you do for work.
So my name is Gladys Preso.
Oh.
I'm French,
Ooh la la.
but I live in the US and in UK. But now I'm back in France. I actually have several hats. I work in strategic planning for a tech company. I also do represent an American VC company here in France. But more recently, I started a startup that will be using PBM to solve a very specific fertility issue.
Wow.
So I'm not going to tell you more about it, but I'm really excited to be here. I'm new to the field,
Right.
and I'm discovering a lot.
So you mean you've started a company where you're going to produce the actual devices
Exactly.
that someone in a clinical setting might be working with someone who watched this video. So
Exactly.
So you're going to be an intercessor in a sense between the scientists and all of that being part of industry.
Yes.
That then creates the tools
Yes.
for everyday doctors, massage therapists, whomever buys your device
Exactly.
is able to implement it with everyday people.
Exactly.
Now, I just have to ask, do you not feel comfortable about talking about the advice because it's still in production? Like, meaning, can you, when you say fertility issues, like what might be your comfort zone in maybe giving us just a taste? Is it possible to give us just a taste of what you're going towards?
No, I don't feel comfortable with that because there are still research involved.
Okay.
And
So it's not quite in
It's
beta.
not-
It's still one step before.
yes,
Okay.
it's just too early to be more specific.
Okay. So Gladys, yeah.
But even without being specific, talking about the specifics, of my company.
What's your
I mean,
company
being
called?
here, it's Luma.
Oh, how nice.
So being here has, it's just amazing. Everything you learn and you discover about the power of lights. Again, to me, it's a completely new field. I mean, I knew nothing about PBM a year ago, and it's just fascinating. And I'm really happy to be involved in crossing the chasm, in bringing these benefits to the people, because when you discover, like here, everything that can be treated, how life can be improved, and how so easily, it's non-invasive, it's safe, and how
No
much we
side
can
effects.
do. Yeah, no side effects, and how
The
much
worst
we
thing
can
that
do.
can happen is it not works.
You just wonder how come I'm not using it. For instance, for my mother with who has some issues with age. I mean, there is a lot that can be used, but it's not. So I'm really happy to be in that very part where I do help to bring something to the people and help improve life, you see.
So in a way you got exposed to the science, the opportunities for people to be well served by it,
Yes.
and you said, I want to be part of that.
Exactly.
I want to help make the change
Yes.
of photobiomodulation being the future of medicine.
Exactly. That's why I want to be part of it.
I'm so inspired by that, Gladys, and it's just really so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But, so we'll see. We'll keep in touch now. I'll let you know about how things are going, but
Yes, absolutely. Is there any last things that you'd like to talk about in relation to photobiomodulation? Maybe how it affected your mom, or just anything else you want to mention before we wrap up? That you would want everyday people to know when they're learning about photobiomodulation as a possibility of a tool in the toolbox for caring for themselves.
well, the message will be to keep an open mind. You know, when I started to work, I used to work at Apple.
Oh.
And I remember that
We know Apple.
And I remember that one of the research I read was about people getting into the shop, willing to buy an Apple computer, and they came out with a PC because the person is, because it was, if it was that good, everybody will be buying it.
Right.
So there must be an issue, and I'm going with the mainstream.
Yes.
You know, I'm going with the
Right.
mainstream, the PC. And this looks nice, but I'm not too sure. So. But we know, so sometimes just keep an open mind, and mainstream maybe is safe, but it's not necessarily the best for everything. So just keep an open mind on alternative therapy, including PBM, to consider it. Because,
Right.
That's really what it's about, considering alternative and not considering that it's not, if it's so good, everybody should be using it, because there are other things that explain the state of the art. So I think it's not clear, but the idea is just keep an open mind.
Well, thank you so much, Gladys. I so appreciate your work in the world. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And another amazing person. Hello.
Hello.
Can you please tell us your name and where you're from?
My name is Dr. Michael Weber. I'm coming from Germany. And from my history, I studied chemistry and biochemistry. Later, I studied medicine. I'm working as a medical doctor in my own clinics now already for more than 35 years.
So you're someone who works with patients, with actual people, and helping them heal?
I have a scientific background, and I'm working on patients, clinical work, for more than 35 years.
And still doing it.
Still doing this.
That's amazing. Now, is there anything else that you do for work?
Besides the clinical work, we have developed a specific laser system. If you have your own patients with long years, chronic pain and chronic diseases, you look for something new, not only give them pain medication. So our idea later was to treat them with natural things, acupuncture, and 20 years ago laser therapy became famous, and then we started to treat them with laser therapy, and we developed specific devices which were funded from the German government, and that's the reason that I'm here, to present everything.
Oh, so you have a company then that makes medical devices so that not only your patients can utilize what you've learned, but you can also sell those same machines to other doctors that can then treat them.
Yeah, we have set up specific machines, first of all for external laser therapy, for laser acupuncture machine, but also we have unique machines with needle technology to bring all lasers into the body, in joints, in the bloodstream, everything, and that's what we sold already to more than 1,000 clinics worldwide.
So one of your devices actually helps you bring light into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
And you also have a something that someone can get into and treat their whole body, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, we can treat locally pain areas, joints, acupuncture points. We can put lasers, all spectral colors in the bloodstream, but we also can put them in joints on the spine for regenerative effect. And also we have devices for the full body treatment, especially also for anti-aging and healing systemic diseases of the body. So we provide the whole spectrum of laser devices.
And you mentioned the word earlier, acupuncture. So are you also familiar then with using the meridian system as part of the treatment that you do for your patients?
Acupuncture was the beginning, and acupuncture became very famous in Europe about 20 years ago. So I made the complete education in acupuncture, all the diplomas.
Lovely.
So I have a lot of knowledge, and we started even with laser acupuncture, but then expanded to the whole range of medicine.
So you use then the different meridian points, and you have developed devices which enable you to use those points and to bring light inside the body.
Exactly. We have set up a 12-channel laser device with so-called fiber optic cables, and we can put them on acupuncture points.
Right.
So the laser beam is going like a needle deeply into the tissue, and we have amazing studies showing that we have very good effect on acupuncture points and also on trigger points.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So you still work day to day with patients, and you have this company which facilitates you serving your own patients and doctors being able to do other things. What brought you to Nice in particular? Do you want to share anything that you've been teaching? Because I do understand that you've been giving some of the classes here. I've enjoyed them myself. If you want to put in a nutshell what you're teaching.
Yeah, besides development of devices and use them our own patients, we have set up a big educational research organization. We call it International Society for Medical Laser Applications. We have more than 1,000 members worldwide. We're organizing seminars. We have own conferences in Europe, Asia, and US. And also, of course, we attend the big world laser conferences to meet all the colleagues from other countries working on the same field, sharing our experience and bring everything forward in research and all the treatment modalities.
So as a last question, do you have any particular patient or any circumstance or story that you'd like to share with us today about what PBM therapy has maybe done for someone that you've worked with as a doctor?
Oh, yeah, this is a difficult story. So, of course, we have a lot of interesting cases what we have, but pain treatments, especially we combine today with stem cells, what we can treat the bone marrow or maybe adipose-derived stem cells. Today, we can even treat the very bad diseases like multiple sclerosis, ALS and so on. So there's many amazing stories what I can tell you.
Oh, that's beautiful. So we're so lucky to be able to sit down with another fascinating person here in Nice. So please tell us what your name is and where you live.
I am Vladimir Heiskanen from Helsinki, Finland.
Finland. What do you do for work? What is your life about?
So currently I'm a student in dentistry in the University of Helsinki.
So wait a minute, you're a dentist student. What are you doing here in Nice at this conference on photobiomodulation?
So the medical research works in this way. If you are interested in something, you can basically become a researcher. That doesn't really require you to be a master or doctor in something. So 5 years ago, I discovered this research of photobiomodulation, and I noticed that it probably will have a very huge impact in this medical sciences. So I decided to focus on it very strongly. And now, after 5 years of reading this literature, I wanted to finally meet the researchers. So that's why I'm here.
So tell us a little bit about what brought you to the conference. Why are you here more? Because I have a feeling you gave a talk, didn't you? What did you give a talk about?
So I have this project of mine. I have a spreadsheet that works as a database, and in that database I've included all the studies about PBM that I have found.
In the last 5 years.
Yeah, and or actually I've been doing that for 2 or 3 years, but very intensely. And now I have almost 4,000 studies in that spreadsheet.
And you've read them all?
Quickly, yeah. I open the full text.
Like
I see the important parts. I might ignore the discussion or introduction sections because they are very similar.
Right.
But yeah, I'm looking at the whole picture, and now that I did this database, I hope it will be a great help for the researchers, because it's much faster way to get the information than usual medical research databases.
What is it about PBM therapy that inspired you to spend thousands of hours of what would otherwise be your free time doing this just as a service to humanity? I mean, what is it? What do you like about PBM?
The results in the research, they have been fascinating, very huge results, and not only from one country, but you get this all over the globe. There are some very nice results published in UK, in Australia, in USA, in Brazil, everywhere, basically. And I was originally very interested in thyroid gland, and I saw some results from Brazil that with PBM, some of the patients could entirely stop taking the medication because this PBM treatment normalized their thyroid gland function. And I also been interested in multiple chronic diseases, for example diabetes, heart disease, and so on. And PBM has been researched for many of those, and the mechanism how PBM works seems to be related strongly to mitochondria. And what is common between all of the chronic diseases known is that almost all chronic diseases appear to share this common mechanism, that is mitochondrial dysfunction. And photobiomodulation seems to be a potential way to target this pathological mechanism of almost all chronic diseases.
So as an American, I can't help it, I have to ask this. Just to make sure that I understand, you were exposed to PBM therapy as something that could help people, so you investigated it. Then you found that you were so inspired that you wanted to dedicate huge swaths of your life to organizing all of these studies for free for anyone that wants to on the planet to access this database.
Yeah.
And so just for free, just to be nice, so that everyone who's interested in PBM therapy from a scientific basis or a medical device basis or for anything, you spent a huge part of your life doing this just to make the world a better place. Is that, do I understand you correctly?
Yeah, my motivation is to be helpful, and that's one way. And of course, I haven't received money for that, except now a few researchers basically paid my trip to this conference, and I'm very grateful for that.
Very smart.
But I'm also benefiting from that. It's super interesting. It's good for my kind of intellectual curiosity. So I enjoy that process of reading the papers.
Well, loved ones, I think that this is inspiring on so many levels, and I hope that you have the same feeling I do, that Vladimir is basically a rock star from the values of the Blissverse in every single way, being completely purpose-driven, right? Doing things of service for others, and also on top of it, being such a nice person. And personally, it makes me wish that I lived in Helsinki so that someday he could be my dentist. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.